Panda meets a polar bear. The sweetest surprise no one expected them to meet. Not the scientists, not the keepers, not even the animals themselves. The morning began quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, like the world is holding its breath. Snow covered the ground in soft layers, untouched except for a single trail of human footprints leading toward a large observation area. Beyond the glass walls stood a place that did not belong to any one land. It was built between worlds, part bamboo forest, part frozen tundra, and in the middle of it all, a panda sat alone. His name was not important yet. No one had given him one that truly fit. The keepers called him Bao because it was easy, because it sounded gentle, because people liked it. Bao did not care about the name. He cared about the empty space beside him. For months, he had lived in this place after being moved from his mountain home. The move was meant to save him. The old forest was shrinking. Storms were harsher. Food was harder to find. Humans said this place would be safer. Safer did not mean easier. Bo missed the sound of wind through tall bamboo. He missed the smell of wet earth. Most of all, he missed the feeling of another heartbeat nearby. Pandas were known to be quiet animals, but even quiet hearts feel lonely. He sat with his back against a smooth rock, holding a piece of bamboo he had already stopped eating. His dark eyes stared toward the glass wall, not really seeing the people beyond it. He was tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from waiting. On the other side of the complex, far beyond the bamboo and rocks, another animal was waking up. His world was white, endless white. Snow, ice, sky blending together until there was no clear line between ground and air. This was the land he knew. This was where his ancestors walked, hunted, lived, and disappeared. His name was written on a metal tag humans placed nearby. They called him Nanak. He had been rescued after drifting on a broken piece of ice for days. The ice had cracked without warning. The sea had carried him far from land. When humans found him, he was weak, thinner than he should have been, his fur dull instead of shining. They saved his life, but they could not return his world. The ice was melting faster every year. There was nowhere safe to take him back to, so they brought him here to this strange place with walls and doors and soft voices. Nanak stood tall even after everything he had lost. Polar bears carried strength in their bones. But strength did not mean the absence of pain. He paced slowly, his large paws sinking into the snow made by machines. It did not feel right under his feet. Too even, too perfect. Real snow was never perfect. He stopped near the edge of his enclosure and lifted his head. There was a smell in the air. Not fish, not salt, not human, something green, something soft, something alive in a different way. His ears turned, far away, beyond a controlled gate that was meant to stay closed. Bo lifted his head to he smelled cold. Not winter cold, ocean cold. His body tensed. Pandas were not built for fear the way prey animals were, but they knew when something was different. Bo's nose twitched. His breathing slowed. Keepers watched from above, unaware of what was about to happen. A gate malfunctioned. It was small. A sensor that did not read properly. A safety door that paused longer than it should have. Humans would later argue over whose fault it was. But in that moment, none of that mattered. The door between worlds opened. Nanak followed the smell, not with aggression, not with hunger, with curiosity. He moved slowly, each step careful. He had learned caution since arriving here. The humans rewarded calm behavior. They spoke gently when he did not rush. They brought food when he waited. As he crossed into the shared zone, the ground changed beneath his paws. Snow faded into stone. Stone faded into soil. Soil softened with fallen leaves and bamboo pieces. His nose filled with green. Bo stood up. For the first time that morning, his heart beat faster. He had never seen an animal like this, so large, so white, so still. Nanak stopped too. The two animals faced each other across a few long steps of ground. There was no roar, no charge, no sudden movement. Just two lives, paused. Bo tilted his head slightly, the way pandas did when they were unsure. His black ears stood out against his white fur. His body leaned back just enough to be ready to run, but he did not turn away. Nanak lowered his head a fraction, sniffing the air. This creature smelled alive in a calm way, not sharp like prey, not threatening like rivals, just present. Keepers froze behind the glass. Someone whispered, "This is bad." Someone else whispered, "Don't move." Protocols were forgotten. Alarms were delayed. Fear filled the room, thick and fast. But in the enclosure, time felt slow. Bo took one step back. Nanak took one step forward. Then both stopped again. Bo made a small sound. Not a growl, not a cry. Just a soft breath that came out of his nose. Nanak blinked. He had seen seals panic. He had seen birds scatter. This was different. He sat down. The ground shook slightly under his weight. Bao flinched, then realized the bear was not coming closer. Something inside him loosened. He sat two animals, two worlds, one quiet space. Minutes passed. The humans watched, unable to look away. Bo picked up the bamboo he had dropped earlier. He held it in his paws, unsure, then slowly took a bite. Nanak watched the movement carefully. He tilted his head the way Bo had done earlier, mirroring without knowing why. Bo noticed he paused, chewing. Then, very slowly, he pushed the bamboo forward along the ground. Just a little. Not offering. Not retreating. Just sharing space. Nanak leaned forward and sniffed the bamboo. He did not try to eat it. It was not food to him, but the smell was interesting. He gently touched it with his nose. Bo's breath caught. Nothing bad happened. No attack. No fear. Just contact. Something shifted inside both of them. Keepers finally moved. They began closing the gate, slow and careful, not wanting to break whatever fragile calm existed. The door slid shut with a soft sound. The two animals were separated again. Bo watched the white shape disappear behind steel and glass. Nanak turned once before leaving, looking back longer than necessary. That night, Bao did not sleep right away. He sat near the gate, bamboo forgotten beside him. For the first time since arriving, the space beside him did not feel completely empty, and far away in the cold enclosure, Nanak lay down facing the direction of the bamboo forest. His dreams were strange that night, green instead of white, warm instead of cold. And somewhere in those dreams, another heartbeat existed. Soft closing line, and without knowing it, two lonely lives had just changed each other forever. When kindness chooses its own path, the next morning felt different. Bo woke before the keepers arrived. He walked slowly toward the shared gate, his paws making soft sounds against the ground. He did not expect it to open again. Some part of him already knew that moment was rare, but still he waited. On the other side, Nanak was awake too. He had not eaten much during the night, not because he was sick, but because his mind felt restless. The smell of bamboo still lingered in his memory. It reminded him of something he could not name. Not hunger, not home, something quieter. When the keepers arrived, they noticed both animals were unusually calm, no pacing, no anxious sounds. Just waiting. Humans talked in low voices. They reviewed recordings. They debated risk and rules. Most of them agreed the meeting should never happen again, but one older keeper stayed silent. She had worked with animals for decades. She had seen fear. She had seen aggression. She had seen sadness so deep it changed behavior. What she saw now was none of those things. She saw curiosity. Carefully, with every safety measure in place, the keepers decided to try again. Not a full opening, but just a partial shared space, separated by strong, clear glass. When the barrier lifted, Bo noticed first he walked closer, slow and unsure. Nanak approached from the other side. This time, there was no fear at all. Bo sat down and leaned slightly toward the glass. Nanak lowered himself too, resting his massive head near the barrier. They were close enough to see each other clearly. Eyes met. Nothing else mattered. Days passed, then weeks. The animals never touched, but they shared time. Bao would eat while Nanak watched. Nanak would nap while Bao rested nearby. Sometimes they mirrored each other without realizing it. When one moved, the other noticed. Humans began to understand. These animals were not bonded by instinct. They were bonded by experience. Both had lost their homes. Both had been saved but displaced. Both carried quiet loneliness. Children who visited noticed it too. Their friends, one child said softly. The keepers smiled. They adjusted schedules so Bo and Nanak could see each other every day. Stress levels dropped. Eating improved. Sleep became deeper. Something gentle had healed, something invisible. Months later, the research center shared the story publicly. Not as a miracle, not as a spectacle, but as proof. Proof that kindness does not always follow rules. Proof that comfort can come from unexpected places. Proof that even the strongest animals need connection. One winter evening, snow fell quietly outside the enclosures. Bao sat by the glass, bamboo in his paws. Nanek lay down across from him, eyes half closed. They did not look at each other this time. They didn't need to. They simply existed together, and that was enough. Soft closing line, sometimes the sweetest surprise is not who we meet, but how gently they remind us we are not alone.